Hello everyone. I am Dr. Nurja Shrivastava from the Department of Biochemistry, Institute of Bioscience and Biotechnology of CSCM University Kanpur, and I am going to discuss today about the bioremediation. By watching this video, the learners will be able to understand the concept of bioremediation and will be able to differentiate between the various types of bioremediation. Actually, I think you all people are aware that environmental pollution is a major problem of the world these days. Due to industrialization and urbanization, we have lot of pollutants which are polluting our environment. It is very essential to remove these pollutants from the environment because they cause enormous problems to our health as well as to the environment. For this, we have lot of remediation strategies which remove these pollutants, but all of these physical and chemical remediation strategies have their own risk. So people have thought about those waste management techniques which utilizes organisms to remove or neutralize pollutants from the contaminated site. So according to Environmental Protection Agency, USA, bioremediation is a treatment that uses naturally occurring organisms to break down hazardous material into less toxic or non-toxic substances. It is the most economical remedial technique presently available. Mechanism of bioremediation. What is the process? How this happens actually? The first waste material is examined and certain bacteria are isolated based on their efficiency for digesting and modifying the waste. Uh, for this, we use the local or indigenous bacteria. This bacteria is actually subjected to various steps of cultures and performance tests. Then suitable bacteria are selected and placed back in the contaminated site. As we all are aware that they will grow there and will digest waste and convert it into the carbon dioxide and water. But for this, suitable conditions must be present and we can improve them by the various amendments. What are the essential factors of microbial bioremediation? We have certain requirements like we need first the microbial population. That is the suitable type of organism to degrade all the contaminants. The second thing is oxygen. Actually, for aerobic degradation, about 2% oxygen is required in the gas phase or 0.4 mg per liter in the soil water. Then the water in the form of the soil moisture. It should be between 50 to 70% of the water holding capacity of the soil. We need nutrients also for the growth of the microbes, that is the nitrogen, phosphorus and sulfur, and certain other nutrients which will support the good microbial growth. The temperature should be suitable from 0 to 40 degrees centigrade and the pH should be from 6.5 to 7.5. Now at this point we can think about why bioremediation is so important for treating the environment. You can think upon this, you can have certain idea till now. Now we will move further. I think you all are right. The bioremediation actually is needed because all the physical and chemical remediation strategies have their own risk, and this bioremediation is a process which use the natural microorganisms, fungi, green plants or their enzymes to return the natural environment altered by contaminants to its original condition, and they are very easy to perform and also very cost effective. We have various types of bioremediation strategies. First is the in situ bioremediation and the second is ex situ bioremediation. What is in situ bioremediation? It is at the site. That is, we treat the contaminated site at its place only. Here we have different strategies for doing so, like bioventing, in situ biodegradation, biostimulation, biosparging, bioaugmentation, as well as the natural attenuation. While in ex situ bioremediation, we have the treatment of the contamination away from the site. That is, we will take the contaminated soil or the groundwater from the contaminated soil to the place where it has to be treated, and after the treatment you have to place it in the same place. We have different types of this ex situ bioremediation: the composting, land farming, biopiles, bioreactors. We will discuss one by one about them. Under the in situ bioremediation, bioventing is there, in which air and nutrients are supplied through wells in the contaminated soil to stimulate the indigenous bacteria. Then we have the in situ biodegradation, where the indigenous microflora is utilized to degrade the contaminants without any amendments, which will degrade the hazardous waste by pre-existing processes only. We are not supplying anything from outside here. Then we have the biostimulation. It is also called as the enhanced bioremediation, and this facilitates the degradation by manipulating the microbial environment by various chemical amendments, which is very different from the others. Then we have the fourth one, that is the biosparging, where the air is injected under pressure below the water table to increase the groundwater oxygen to enhance the degradation by naturally occurring bacteria. Then fifth method is the bioaugmentation. It is the process in which the specialized microbes and their enzyme preparations are used, and they are added to the polluted site to enhance the degradation. Lastly, we have the natural attenuation, which relies on the natural physical, chemical as well as biological processes to reduce the concentration of the pollutants. Now we will move further for the ex situ bioremediation. We have the four types here, as I have told you: the composting, landforming, biopiles and bioreactors. In the composting, contaminated soil is combined with the agricultural waste to promote the degradation, while in the case of the landforming, we involve the spreading of the contaminated soil into a line bed, and it is until the pollution are degraded. Then we have the biopiles, which places the contaminated soil into the piles that are well aerated, and nutrients are added to speed up the bioremediation. Then we have the bioreactors. You all are aware, these are the large vessels where the contaminated material and conditions for bioremediation can be controlled. Now we will discuss one by one about them. First, the in situ engineered bioremediation types. I will discuss only those which are commonly employed, like the bioventing. This bioventing, as I have told you, involves the supplying air and nutrients through the wells to contaminated soil to stimulate the indigenous bacteria. You can see here from the nutrient feed is being feeded, and we have the vacuum pump and compressor to flowing the air in the contaminated site. So this will enhance the microbial population growth, and ultimately this will degrade the pollutants. Then we have the biosparging. As I have told you earlier, this involves the injection of air under the pressure. You can see here under the pressure below the water table, which will increase the groundwater oxygen concentration and will enhance the rate of biological degradation of contaminants by naturally occurring bacteria. You can see here the oxygen is here being injected, and this is going to reduce the various nutrients. We have the nitrate reduction, manganese reduction, lot of reductions are going on under the water table. Then we move further to the bioaugmentation, which involves the practice of adding specialized microbes or their enzyme preparation to polluted sites, which will again stimulate the transformation, or they will stabilize the specific pollutants there. You can see here also we have the airflow through these injections, and we also can feed here the microbes or their enzyme preparations. Then we move further for the ex situ engineered bioremediation strategies. You can see in this figure that this contaminated soil is loaded into the drums and transported to the site, to the place where it has to be treated. The treatment procedures are of two types. One is the slurry waste, in which the bioreactor procedure is there, and then we have the solid phase, in which we have the composting, landforming and the biopile. We'll move further. Here you can see the solid phase system, XC2 bioremediation, the composting. As I have told you, it is a technique that involves combining the contaminated soil with the organic compounds like the agricultural waste. You can see here the green grasses and all this. This is the brown leaves. These are the compost. So they have been mixed there into the polluted polluted soil or in the polluted water, and then the composting is being done. Actually, the presence of these organic materials supports the development of a rich microbial population, and elevated temperature is characteristic of this composting. We move further for the land forming operation. You can see here, this is a sample technique in which the contaminated soil is excavated and spread over this prepared bed, and periodically tilled. Here it is being tilled until the pollutants are degraded. This practice is limited to the treatment of the superficial only 10 to 35 centimeter of soil. Now we will move further. Here you can see this. These are the pictures of the bioslurry reactor and the biopiles. We'll discuss them in detail. The biopile systems. These biopiles are a hybrid of land forming. You can see here the land forming. We have this bed. And we add the compost here. So essentially engineered cells are constructed here as the aerated component piles. We have the piles in which all these things will be there. Typically they are used for treatment of surface contamination with petroleum hydrocarbons. They are a refined version of land forming that tend to control physical losses of the contaminants by leaching and the volatilization. These biopiles provide a favorable environment for indigenous aerobic and anaerobic microorganisms. This will stimulate their growth and they will degrade. Now we have this bioreactor system. You can see here that how this contaminated soil is put into this mixer settler, and here we have the leachant, and ultimately this slurry is being formed, and you will have this filter. After this you will have the treated soil. Here you can see the neutralizer is there, so spent leachant is going here, and it is going to into the clarifier, into the filter, and ultimately you are getting the clean water or slash to off-site disposal. So this is how the bioreactors work. So this is all about the bioremediation. We have got the idea now that number of methods are available for remediation of contaminated soil, although the physical and chemical ways are very risky. So that's why bioremediation methods are very important. They are suitable for remediating the contaminated soil. The cost and success determines which method has to be adopted. All methods are effective, but some are very efficient, so we can follow them. That's all. Thank you very much.